Hi, I'm Christina, and I'd like to talk a little bit about the sharing aspect of the ITXM framework. The second step in the ITXM framework is where organizations often struggle to be transparent in sharing the captured experience data with their stakeholders. The stakeholders include everyone within IT. It can be anyone from third-party vendors to the entire rest of the business. This step mainly could be daunting to anyone in the organization, especially because experience data will most likely tell a very different story compared to the years of traditional IT performance measurements. This step applies to both internal and outsourced IT service providers. For example, if your organization is an MSP, a managed service provider, and tries to hide how its customers and users feel about its services. If this is the case, customers will never fully trust you or be focused on improving what matters to your end users most, potentially making it vulnerable at contract renewal. It is also very crucial to remember that capturing experience data isn't only about identifying issues. It is also about highlighting what's being done really well. Thus, IT organizations can now communicate or share with the rest of the business where the gaps are in employee experience and where potentially we are really happy with the services. If we look at this from a practical point of view, there are two tracks that we can follow: the process track as well as the tool track, and how we can share experience data. Let's look at the process track first. Processes is about defining practices that are used for sharing experience data to teams or to any other stakeholder really in the organization, and ultimately also communicating back to the end user. If we look at the tool track, however, tools are more about how do you set yourself up or features to share that experience data to make it easy, visible, and digestible to your audience. Our experience shows that when you find a good way to communicate using the right tools and processes, you can establish a multitude of things. First of all, you can increase your engagement. Regularly communicating with both the business stakeholders, but also your end users within your organization, such as IT updates, successes, challengers, the status quo, and much more, will not only encourage them to continuously provide feedback, but also drives further engagement. And lastly, this will actually boost the response rates within your organization and encourage more involvement. In addition, you should always try and make sure to share your actions and your next steps. Just sharing the data itself is not sufficient. You need to communicate what actions and what are you actually intending to do with the data. So when you share your data, it's important not to just share the data itself, but also the actions that you're planning to do once you have the data available. You want to symbolize to your employees that their voice matters and that their feedback can lead to improvements. Try to get the message across that help us to help you. We as an organization cannot fix things unless you tell us what we need to fix. When you share, make sure you have a process in place and tools in place that will help you within that process. Make sure you communicate in a consistent and transparent manner, not just one time off. Make sure you make your employees feel like their voices have been heard. And share not just the data, but how you intend to act on that data to foster improvement and engagement for your end users.